Hello, and welcome to Coffee and a Notepad, where we talk about all things business, entrepreneurship, and creating success on your own terms. My name is Kaffa Hall, the host of the show, and I am here today with my friend and soror, Sheena Pastel, plus size model and content creator. I'm so excited to dive in and chat with her today. I have decided to kick off and do for Women's History Month, really highlighting the ways that women of today are making a difference and making an impact. And I'm so excited to hear about her story, how she ended up here, what lessons we can learn, what we can get out of this moment in history. So, Sheena, thanks so much for joining me today. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for inviting me and sharing your platform with me. So I'm really excited,
Yeah.
coffee and a notepad.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Coffee and a notepad. So before we get started, it is Women's History Month.
Yes.
So it's all about the girls. If I could run a Beyonce song right now, I would. But I want my stuff to be played, so I won't.
hmm
But if you could meet one of your female faves, which one and why?
That's a really good question. It would have to be Jill Scott. And the
Ooh,
reason why is because she's a fellow Aries.
okay, hey.
Aries, Aries season is coming. But I connect with her just because, like, her body shape is similar as mine. Her confidence draws a different type of energy,
Mhm.
and she's able to adapt in different situations, different life experiences that she has shared with us through her work on the screen, on stage, being a mother. So yes, I would love to have like brunch with her or go to her famous birthday parties because like as she gets older she kind of does a different like theme from what I've heard in multiple articles and interviews that she's done, and it's always like a very like deeper vibe and like connections, no cameras, no phones, just connecting with people
Mm.
that she's invited to the celebration. And it's good to create a safe space like that,
Yeah.
especially her being on a beautiful platform and amazing woman that she is. But I've seen her in concert probably like 6 or 7 times.
You put on a good show.
Yes, absolutely. And I've promised myself after seeing her twice, I said, "Oh, I have to purchase VIP tickets, like closer to the stage tickets," and
Yeah.
I've done it every single time. Why? Because she deserves it, and every
Mhm.
single time it's been a different experience. So yeah, I would pick Jill Scott every day and
Oh, yeah.
all day. So yes.
Jill Scott, if you are listening to this, please hit her
Yes,
up. If you were in
absolutely.
town, say hi. If you
Yes.
got an extra ticket for, I heard she's gonna be at
The
the
Roots
is it the
picnic,
Roots. Yes. If
sis.
you got an extra ticket, just slide that into her DM.
Absolutely. Back, behind the scenes content. Or
And
I can just, just just watch you bask in your glory. And that would
yeah.
be the best blessing for me. But yes.
Yeah. She's a good choice. Like, I sometimes forget about her music because I see her on screen a lot, right?
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I've loved everything that she's played in. I just went back and watched the First Wives Club.
Yes.
And I love her in that. And it's such a different role from what I've
Yeah.
seen.
Absolutely.
Um so
And
I
that
enjoy her character so much. But
yes.
then a song will come on and I'll be like,
Right.
how did I forget about this? Like,
He has
yes,
some
let's take the long
amazing
walk.
he has some amazing bangers. She's written on a lot of great projects that a lot of people don't know. But yes, her the characters that she's played on screen are so relatable.
Yeah.
Like and she plays a great part in that and sharing that transparency of what, people go through. So I love it.
And
She's
I love the fact that as her being a plus size, a fuller size woman,
Mhm.
like, even we're gonna give Tyler Perry a pass, but you still find her to be a beautiful woman that loves being in love,
Yeah.
bags dudes left and right. She reminds me very much in the roles that she plays of like Queen Latifah. Like she's gonna get the man, like, you
Yes.
know, and
Absolutely.
she carries herself with such grace.
Mm-hmm.
Her clothes always look beautiful. Like I
Absolutely.
don't know who's on her styling teams, but her clothes always look
All the
beautiful and
time.
fit her well. And I think
Absolutely.
it's important that you see that because sometimes they can forget, like, you know, bigger women can wear color too or wear
Yes, and
patterns
pink.
or
And yes, absolutely. Being very transparent when it comes to an outfit. And yes, she's an Aries. She's going the fellas are gonna come. The energy's gonna come. That sexiness appeal is going to be there in her smile, in her hair, in her
yeah.
voice, in her song. Like, yes, Jill Scott, thank you.
Yeah. And if anybody knows Jill Scott, has a connect, you know, 6 degrees of separation, tell her she got a couple of fans over here at
Yes,
Coffee and Notepad.
absolutely. So
So,
cool.
talking about representation and being present, you, madam, are a model and content creator, putting your stuff all out there, doing the get readies with me and,
Mhm.
you know, getting all of the brand deals. Was this your life's true passion? How did we get here?
No, not at all. I just wanted to be a flight attendant.
Oh,
That's it. That was it. My family and I found out I had a learning disability in 1996. I'm dyslexic.
Mhm,
So the struggle of going to school, learning, comprehending was like huge thing. Huge thing. I found out I was dyslexic and it's the end of 6th grade, like
mhm,
two weeks before finishing my 6th grade year, going to 7th grade, and I was reading at a 2nd grade level. So
mm,
I, I know you can't imagine, but I was just la 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 and just enjoying my life as a beautiful black girl in this world. And then when it was time for me to learn how to embrace my thinking and my brain, and using different tools to learn how to read and comprehend, then that light bulb went off.
mm,
Going through middle school and high school was tough because it was learning was tough. And
mm.
once I got it, I was able to get it. So I always tell people that even though I'm 40 years old, I'm mentally still 30. Because I'm going to tell you why. Because 10 years of not reading and comprehending on at the right age in the right grade, mentally I'm still 10 years behind because I just fell into my confidence
Mm,
like 8 years ago.
mm.
I learned how to advocate for myself better 6 years ago. I love my body 6 years. Yeah. I'm 10 years behind mentally, I feel.
Hmm.
But yeah,
I
I've always wanted to just be a flight attendant. Finish high school, which was great. High
mhm,
school was awesome. Never had the plans of going to college.
okay.
But my senior year was the beginning of in September of my senior year was 9/11. So
Mm.
once that happened, my parents sat me down like, Sheena, Beena, Pumpkin, we need to figure out another plan because flight attendant's not it. See what
Yeah,
happened?
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. My mom was very like I right after 9/11. I had like moved out. I had just started. It was my freshman year of college.
Okay.
And when 9/11 happened, my mother was like, "No, no, 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 no. Come back home. Come back
Yeah.
home." So I cannot imagine a parent would be like, "Hey, you want to get on a
Mhm.
plane every day and go
Yeah.
everywhere?"
Hmm.
So no dreams of being a flight attendant anymore. You went to school. Was it still okay? I'll go into modeling. Social media wasn't a thing
No.
back then. So clearly content creator wasn't a career. So what were you gonna do?
So I liked kids. I babysat. I went to a boarding school for high school, Landmark High School in Beverly, Massachusetts, for students with dyslexia and ADHD. So I used to babysit some of this teachers' kids that would like clearly teach at the school. So I like kids. So I was like, I guess I can go to school to be a teacher. So that's what I did. I I got my associate's degree, um, and that's I was a preschool teacher for 10 years.
Wow.
Still didn't have an idea of what my body image was. Still didn't know that. I did dress very nice. My mother did ensure that, listen, you are my child. You're not going to leave this house looking like anything. So I did have a little tiny bit of a fashion sense or an idea how to dress my body, but the confidence wasn't there. I had no idea. I wasn't dating,
Mm.
wasn't strong in that area. And I was just da 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 in life, just going along, just being the best young adult that I could, and still living home with mom, and going to church and stuff like that. So that modeling never popped in my head until when I went back to school to get my bachelor's degree.
Mm. And
Hmm.
so what was the moment that flipped the switch for you?
So, going to school was fun, but I always had like a whole breakdown of how I would do my classes. So, of course, in college you have excuse absences for classes. So I decided to use all my excuse absences at the end of the semester. And I would always ask for extra credit from my professors just in case, because I was a good, like, I studied good, but sometimes having, dyslexia, sometimes your mind is saying, like, no, we're not going to do it today.
Yeah.
But sometimes I will just do horrible on a test. So I would needed to set myself up with a cushion just in case my brain was like, nah, we're not doing this today, sis. So I would always ask for extra credit.
Hmm.
And that's what I did this particular time. I think my professor honestly just was like, Sheena, all right, I can't give you no more, but how about you just do something you've never done before? Give me like paragraphs of it. I mean, 2 pages of it. I was like, something I never did before. I'm like, all right, great, whatever. I'll think about it. So it was 2014, our fraternity's centennial. Big shout out to
Hmm.
Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. They had a gala here in Connecticut. So I went. And our front brother was like, oh my gosh, you look great. You should do modeling. And I was like, modeling? What are you talking about? He was like, no, like you're gorgeous, beautiful. And of course I've heard that before. But
Hmm.
this particular time it just soaked in deeper than usual. After your membership intake of being, going through a sorority and the attention that you get, it's a lot.
Hmm.
You don't know how to handle. Some people don't know how to handle it, and it's just a lot. Oh my God, you're beautiful. Da 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 da. But this particular time, I was like, okay. So I looked into it, and since I had to do an assignment anyway, I found a runway and posing class in New York, and that was back in 2014. So it's been 10 years. So
Wow.
yeah, that's how it started.
So a random
Random comment. Oh,
assignment
random comment. Okay.
and a random comment that probably wasn't, you know, I
Yeah.
mean, yes, it was a compliment,
Yeah.
but could have been something else,
It could have been something else. Yeah.
led you to where you are now, where you are
Absolutely.
like
Yeah.
modeling and creating and representing different brands, and
Mhm.
definitely not being a flight attendant serving,
Yeah.
probably traveling.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mhm.
you talked a lot about struggling with your confidence, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
try to find yourself, and I can definitely relate. Like you grow up. For me, I feel like I always knew that I was plus size. I didn't get picked on too much about it. Um, because I think that, I feel like the thing that stuck with me is like being a brainiac or like a smart ass or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
So that sticks out more to me than the attention on my weight. But I was always very conscious, like when you're hanging out with your girls,
Yes.
that you knew that you weren't going to be the first girl that guys were going to notice, right?
Yeah.
Or
Correct.
taking the trips to the mall and they can go into every store And I can shop at that time, Lane Bryant's
Mm-hmm.
was probably Express was probably also another one.
Yes, they started
Or
something a
it was
little,
New York
yeah.
Company. That's what it
New
was.
York and Company,
New
yes.
York and Company.
Started with their dresses.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
being like 14, 15, 16, wearing these very mature clothing, JC Penney, right? These very mature clothing, you didn't look like your peers. And
Yeah.
so now I don't have that struggle anymore, right? I don't think that um girls who are coming up 14, 15, 16 now don't have that same struggle of I don't have anything to wear because there are so many more options and there are
Yeah.
so much more representation. Like we talked about Jill Scott being on TV. There are a few, but I don't remember Kim from the Parkers is probably my biggest example of a plus size girl. It
Yes.
my age,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Representation just wasn't as present, I think. And so you decided to go into modeling, fighting your own confidence
Yeah.
and have made it a career. So how has that transition been for you? Like just entering into a space that is probably very critical, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
How did that help you build confidence versus like digging it further, uh, into like, oh, maybe this isn't the space for me?
Yeah. It honestly started with the training, the runway classes, training, posing training, because I'm in a studio class with a small group of people, maybe like 10 people. But you're able to work on yourself, moving your limbs and muscles so that you can feel how your body feels when you're moving in different poses reflects in a feeling. So I
Mm,
loved how my body was moving. I loved feeling how to balance standing on a heel, how to position myself so that my posture was upright and straight.
mhm,
I enjoyed the feeling of that. I'm like, wow, I never felt like that before.
mhm,
Let's continue that feeling. So I really based it, it really started on how I really felt by moving my body, learning how to embrace my inner thighs, my the meat around my knees, and how to complement that with an undergarment so that I can smoothly walk on the runway,
mhm,
and different products and stockings and stuff like that. So I if a feeling was good to me,
mhm,
I just went with it. So that's honestly how it started. It built through, like, dressing myself what looked good on my body shape, still not sure what my body shape was as I, kind of went up and down in my weight. But with that, that allowed me to branch out to, designers, smaller brands that didn't have the Ashley Stewart, Lane Bryant, like campaign
mhm,
type of um, income or stream to see in my see the commercials in my emails or coupons in my mailbox. I
mhm,
could learn about so many other smaller brands. So that gave me an opportunity to be like, okay, great. I can still practice and kind of learn on a smaller level because these are smaller brands that I can reach out to and still be able to showcase something that I'm still learning, I'm still adding to my wardrobe, and I'm still building my confidence that way. Um, and as that as years went on, more experience of doing shows, working with designers, um, learning, falling in love on what the product was as of like my photos,
mhm,
my headshots, my full bodies, my comp cards, falling in love with connecting with the camera when it's time to take photos, and
mhm,
knowing how to move my body to show a pose, an expression, and an emotion. I learned to fall in love with that as I got better. That's how my confidence increased,
Mm,
which led into, all right, great, great. I've done all these things as a freelance model. I need help.
mm,
Agency that can take me a little bit deeper into access to brands, that I can
mhm.
do something better, but that would bring me consistent income.
Yeah.
So the time was to up the ante. The time was to invest in doing more classes and focusing on, all right, let's get signed to an agency and stuff like that. So it took a while. Like I said, I just, it's been only 2 years I've been with my agency. So I
Mm,
put in 8 years of work before I got signed, you know,
mm,
lots of work with me. It's not, yes, I've traveled with other models, influencers, and freelance models to go to auditions and stuff like that, but I still was there. Sheena auditioned, Sheena showed up, Sheena worked her butt off to, make the deposit for those classes, go to New York for this, go to New York for that, and know that I needed a little bit more. So it was a slow, I think it was a slow process, but other people may say, like, oh, that was a good, yeah, 10 years is good. But to me, given the fact my age, I felt that I was just old, just too old. I was older of doing like all the not, all the things that I was doing as a, freelance model. And I have all this energy and ideas, thinking as a 30-year-old, as we said earlier, I feel like I'm 10 years behind. And now that I'm 40, some, my parents, some people be like, "Oh, Sheena, you're not settled down yet. You don't have any children yet." I just think it's because I'm still 10 years behind.
I got 10 more years before I got to think about that.
Time to do what I want. But of course, yes, you can still do, you don't have to have a family and settle down at 40. That's not what I'm saying. It's just that I'm basing it on when it was time for me to really understand by reading and comprehending. That's when I was able to really move and
Mhm,
navigate and start my life. So yeah, it started through the work of um, learning to enjoy every step. I
mm,
really go after that feeling, that gut feeling, like, I like how this feels. This feels great. I want more of this. Let's
yeah.
do more of that. Let's do more of this. So, yeah, that's honestly where it started. And to be 1000% honest with you and transparent with you,
Mhm,
the last 2 years of being a sign model and being a fit model to a couple of great clients of mine, I am in a more pressured position than I've ever been before. Because I go into work every week for about 4 to 6 hours solely just to talk about my body.
oh my gosh, how does that
Hmm.
how do you handle that?
Um, First and foremost, of course we're human, we get emotional.
Mhm,
And like sometimes I'm not in the mood to go into the fitting room, try on this garment, step out of the fitting room doors,
dressing room, mhm,
to be in front of 4 to 6 people standing the whole entire time talking about how I feel in this garment, taking measurements. Where's the lining at? How, do we need to add fabric? I'm constantly, sometimes I don't feel like doing it, but I quickly remember I worked my butt off to get here. I
mhm,
better not slack off.
yeah,
Why? Because there's another model just like me that's trying to get to where I am. And I deserve to be here. So I deserve to show up
yeah,
for myself, who started that journey in 2014.
yeah,
A lot of people don't realize that once you get it, that's not the time to slack off. You
you gotta
have
work
to
to
show
keep
up.
it,
You gotta work to keep it, right?
yeah,
So yeah, I shake it off. I'm like, all right, Sheena, let's do this. Let's enjoy it. So sometimes I do catch myself in the room with 6 other women, touching my body, fabrics, and I'm looking out in the window and I see this New York skyline, and I get teary eyed because I'm so thankful for being there at that moment. All of those years of learning about my body and being the fat girl of the group, I'm so thankful for me being there at that moment because my feedback, my body, my measurements, me showing up for that job and being present and giving the designers feedback and having building a working relationship for them means so much for the future buyer.
Mm.
So in fit modeling, this is how it works. Before you before the top that you're wearing today, which is so beautiful, is
Okay.
on your body right now.
Mm.
About 10 or 11 months ago, let's just say you just bought it. 10, 11 months ago, there's a fit model like me comes in and I try it on for 3 or 4 times before they approve it.
Mm.
Talking about how my arms fit, how it lays on my shoulders, over my breast, my upper portion of my body. Is it flattering? Am I pulling at it?
Mhm.
Is the fabric peeling? Is it stretching out? 3 or 4 fits, they approve it. About 10 or once they go through that, then it's time for them to hire e-com models to model it on the website. Then
Mhm.
they, depending on the garment, might make it into a campaign. They have to hire campaign models for that. And then it's shared to the public. You
Mhm.
love it so much, you either saw it on the store, on the website, and it comes to you. You are enjoying that gown because of fit model like me.
Mm. A
So
very It's a very Devil's Wears Prada
yes,
explanation.
so I have to show up
Yeah.
for hundreds of plus size women and men and bodies so they can enjoy that garment in 12 months.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure.
I thank you for your work because I think people don't get to see that. People don't get
Yeah,
to know that, right? We
absolutely.
don't we
Yeah,
don't see the back end, and I that level of vulnerability you have to expose yourself to. I'm
yeah,
sure it's not easy for anyone to be scrutinized so
yeah, yeah,
publicly,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
it doesn't matter what body you're in.
yeah,
Having someone poke and prod and judge
yeah,
is it's
yeah.
still hurtful, but when your existence is that and then it's also your job,
Yes.
I cannot imagine how much you have to like prepare your mindset for
Ooh,
those moments.
yes. Absolutely, yeah.
Um,
And I'm
so,
saying this is through menstrual cycles,
ugh,
deaths,
girl,
issues, world things, and you're traveling to work. You gotta I always show up 30 minutes before every fit because
yeah,
I need a minute. Just sit
yeah,
here, drink some water. Thank you, Lord. And
yeah,
get myself together because as soon as you get in there, it's game time. You got to
yeah,
change your. Oh, you're standing the whole time and switching out. Whatever you're wearing. Panties, bras, lingerie, suits, pants, jackets. Whatever you're wearing, right? So yeah,
yeah.
it's a lot. But I'm thankful for it. I'm so thankful for the opportunity. I'm so it's so cool to be like, wow, my body is able to 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 support in a brand like this, but they're shoppers,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Let's talk about the community though. Like this is that part is very personal and it's very insulated, but
Yeah,
then we get to enjoy it when you share it on your social media or like when you are, advertising, and those are the parts, and I'm sure there are moments where you get to get excited with fellow models or other people in the industry. So talk a little bit about the community. How does the community support the efforts of those that are going into modeling, plus size
Mhm.
content creation? What does that community look like, and how important is it for
Yeah,
your success?
absolutely. So I feel before the pandemic, I want to say like let's say 2016 all the way up to like 2019 was a really great time for me, because people were doing in-person audition tours.
Mhm.
You were seeing fashion shows really advocating for the plus body shapes in women and men, and creating these productions so that we can see models on their stage, and um, giving designers opportunities, giving them pressure like, hey, if you have a collection, you need to submit it. It needs to be ready. It needs to be, so that the buyer and the audience and the camera and future things can actually see what's going on. So I feel like I came at the perfect time, because I learned how to earn it, not the quick way than people think now after the pandemic,
Mm,
but I had to be consistent and show up and travel a lot. So I did a lot of traveling between Connecticut to New York to Philly to DMV area, Atlanta. But
mhm.
after the pandemic, everything was a bit to show up for yourself, but now it's happening at a quicker pace. So because of that, people were able to explore and trust their other talents, and showing up on camera, talking about their experiences and their styling, how they embrace a new collection, how uh, watching another plus size influencer, content creator, or model dress themselves, get ready with me, styling. And it took our eyes to a different range of vision. Not,
Mhm.
not just solely on modeling on the runway, modeling of what you're wearing. How did you turn this $125 jeans
Mm,
into 3 or 4 outfits for the week?
yeah.
It's showing us how to repurpose what we have in our closet and shop smarter so that we can build a wardrobe, not
Yeah.
just based on what you see on the ecom, websites. Um, it just gave us more vision, more opportunity. Like, wow, I don't have to be a model on the runway to
Mhm.
express my love for fashion or styling. I can do it by podcasting and doing, short clips and
Mhm.
creating, just using my hands, just using what I have at my home. So yeah, it has shown people and inspired people that they can do it in multiple ways.
Yeah, I love that. I love the I'm thinking back as we're talking, and I really appreciated street styling back in like high school, college.
Yeah.
I didn't have the name for that,
Mhm.
but I love seeing like pictures or videos of people that were just on the street and what they wore.
Yes.
And now those are the type of videos that I prefer to gravitate to when I'm like looking for fashion inspiration,
Mhm.
like people actually wearing the clothes. And what
Yeah.
do you look like when you're like walking down the street, or you're going to brunch with your girls, or you're getting ready to go to work, but actually wearing the clothes? Like, does it seem realistic?
Mhm.
There was no name. I didn't have a name for it. Maybe it existed, but I didn't have a name to describe it. And I think pre-pandemic,
Mhm.
you may have only thought about, like you said, if you were a model, you were on like a magazine, or
Yeah.
you were on the runway, or maybe you did some TV stuff, the Victoria's Secret
Yes,
runway
exactly.
stuff,
Yeah. Mhm.
right? But now you're seeing modeling show up in very different ways. Um, I think my best example is Rihanna's Fenty Beauty. not Fenty Beauty, Savage
Savage. Yeah.
Fenty,
Mhm.
runway shows. I love
Mhm.
them.
I
I the combination of music and visuals and modeling and just creative arts
Mhm.
is so compelling for me,
Yeah.
and I would not have thought about that as a method of fashion show,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. Yep.
But it is different, and I think people post pandemic, because you had no choice but to find a way to keep yourself entertained.
Right. Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
There have been so many different avenues that have popped up. So I want to talk a little bit about, like, what is this moment of history? Like, if you looked back, or someone looks back 10 years, 15, 20 years from now,
Mhm.
and they're like, we want to understand this moment in history. How would you describe it for modeling, for plus size women, for making representation for full figured individuals? What does that look like?
I would describe it as the chains are broken because
Hmm.
there's nothing holding us back, and we are seen. There's cameras everywhere now, so we're seen in front of the camera, behind the camera, developing and getting people together. There are plus size producers, appointing other plus size bodies, doing this, doing that. Um, the at like I think there was a campaign. I'm an '80s baby, so there's a campaign like whatever you put your mind to, you can actually do it. So I believe that statement now more than I've ever done before, because you can do a lot of different things, even if you physically don't want to be on camera, but you have a vision for something. Like you just said, I didn't know street fashion until we put a word to it, until I start seeing it. Yeah, let's talk about the camera photographer or videographer that literally walks around New York capturing real life people in their real life outfits, really
Hmm.
doing their thing. They're collaborating colors and fabrics and patterns together, just going to the bodega and get their
Hmm.
coffee or going to work. And you're like, wow, there are people that look like me out there,
Yeah.
that that does that likes to wear chucks, wear oversized jeans and a leather jacket. Like you can put your vision out there, and it will be embraced. It will be inspiring for other people, and be like, oh, that's my aha moment. So um it's really bringing visual to other people's thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I would say it. The chains are broken, and you're able to access so many amazing things. If not accessing it yourself, you are creating accessibility for somebody else.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
it comes so easily now, and it's not a fight. You don't have to like get approval from other people. You're like, no, this $1,200 phone that I have in my hand, I can create stuff with this.
Listen, you paid enough for it, okay? It's expensive
Exactly.
enough. Let it figure
Exactly.
out a way to make it work for you,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm. Absolutely.
um, you were talking back when you were explaining, like, how you got into the modeling industry,
Hmm.
and just a little bit of your journey as a business and entrepreneur podcast, right? I love when people are explaining, like, this doesn't happen overnight. And even as a model, you're saying a lot of the things that a lot of business owners will always say, right? You just have to try it. You
Yeah.
don't know if it's gonna work.
Yeah.
You have to invest in yourself. Like, you took classes, you realized you needed a support system, so you found an agency, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're finding community around you. So
Hmm.
that's another way to support yourself. And these are all the things that, I hope that anybody is listening and they're thinking about whatever they decide to do to create success on their own terms.
Yeah.
Take away, like, this is the framework, right? It's not
Yeah.
but are there other lessons that you have gained for yourself and how you see your career trajectory going?
Hmm.
What are like some of the biggest lessons that you've gotten for yourself that you are using to continue to propel yourself forward?
Absolutely. The biggest lesson that keeps happening in order for you to be, oh, aha, I need to ask someone else
Mhm,
help is failure.
mhm,
Embrace failure. Failure allows you to say, oh, I like this,
mhm,
but I have to do it a different way to be successful. Failure shows you like, oh, this is really not for me, but I'm glad I did it, right?
mhm,
But um another lesson is that I've learned to be honest with myself. Like, Sheena, you're really not good at this. But
mhm,
let's find someone that is so that they can teach you, right? Um, how to perfect that and be better at it. You know, those Jeannie Fergusons, those Nikki Gomez's that are out there that are teaching people to be better at what they want to be.
mhm.
And that's once the the quicker you realize, like, hey, I'm not really good at this, but I need someone else to teach me. That is so clarifying and so a blessed level to be at, because um, it's you showing yourself and telling yourself, like, yes, I have something here, but I know I can't go to the next level unless I get proper training and
Mhm.
receive correction and support. So yeah, I think that'll be my answer for that question.
Okay. I mean, those are good ones, right? Make sure that you find some sort of mentorship,
Yeah,
like,
you have
and
to. You
and
have
be
to.
okay. You're not gonna know everything.
Not knowing everything.
I
And
I
also too, sorry to add
it's
one more thing, is allow volunteering or being a shadow, or hey, is it okay if I can participate in this production? Because I would like to see things from this angle,
yeah,
right? That's okay.
yeah.
It's okay to have a season of volunteering. Why? Because it's technically, I'll put it in the the cool word now. Market research. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. You're doing research. Or if you really want to get dark with it, you're stalking. But
Yeah,
it's the same thing. It really is the same thing. So be open to that. If
yeah,
you can't pay for someone to teach you, humble yourself. Be like, hey, is there any way that I can be a part of the production
yeah.
so I can help and fill in where there the gap is?
Yep.
Because
I
when you
spy
see
from
it
the
from that type of
inside.
view, you start seeing like, ooh, no one does this type of service. Maybe I should do this.
Mhm,
You know? And you learn a lot from being backstage. Backstage has to be strong for the person on stage to be
mhm.
stronger.
Yeah, yeah. I think definitely being able to volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also, I think people underestimate how much, myself included. I'm a share.
Okay.
Just at like asking people are willing to say yes, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
if you need help, if you have a question, people are willing to help you and to say yes.
Yeah.
And you people don't think about that often. They're like, oh, for myself, I don't want to burden that person, or I'll figure it out on my own, or no, they have to figure it out, so I can do that too, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So being open to asking and volunteering, like you said, but it is a lesson that I've had to learn, like even expanding my guests for the podcast. I did share this, like I mentioned it at drinks with our fellow Sora, like, hey, I'm trying to put this my episodes together and I need someone to hear. She was like, oh, I got you. Like I'm gonna,
Yeah.
and I'm learning, like the more that you say that out loud and you just put it out there, that people are willing to say yes. So
Mm-hmm.
if you are entering into a space being like, I want to learn more, can I volunteer can I help? Is there anything that I can do?
Yeah.
Um, but I do think that there's a difference between, volunteering your time and like, let me pick your brain. You know what I mean? Don't
Yes,
try to
it's two different
steal,
things. That's two
don't try
different
to
things.
steal all of my insight and stuff.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. hmm And as anything that you do, it you have to give it time and you have to put in the work. And that
Yeah.
work can be volunteering, turning into something you may like something different than what the goal was when you first started. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Or you'll be able to build a stronger relationship with someone that does have the power to appoint, to pick, to choose, and your voice of reason and ideas supports those decisions of those bigger people that are able, that have the last say and have the last vote of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I that goes back to where we started at the beginning of of the podcast. You have to put in the work.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to
Yeah,
be willing.
you gotta put in the work.
Speaking of work, is there anything that you're looking forward to that you can share?
Yes. So let's see here. So many things. So I'll be going. It's been 2 years of me being with Bicoastal Model Management. 2 years being a fit model with Adore Me. It's been a year working with Victoria's Secrets.
Mm.
I'm hoping and praying to have more fit clients on my roster. Being honored at Lifestyle Honors in April in Atlanta has been
Congratulations.
will be like amazing. So I'm really excited about that. Um, Nominations just closed for the Full Figure Industry Awards, which will take place in November in New York City. So I'm really excited for that nomination to be released. Um, but yeah, just know that Sheena Pastel, the plus size model, is working behind the scenes, recreating, my one pager, my comp card, so that I can do more fit work, but ecom work. I definitely want to work for Nike, definitely want to
Mhm.
work for Eloquy. Um, I definitely want to be in a campaign. I know you're going to see me in Target one day.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting,
You're gonna
girl.
see me in Target one day, and you're gonna see me in Old Navy one day. The stories behind the scenes stories that I have is crazy. I've been attended auditions, virtual auditions, got picked. No, I knew the dates where it was going to be shot. I know how much money I was going to make. I knew where to go, address in hand. Literally a week before shooting, I get cut. When
Mm.
it can't I cannot be that close for
Mm.
nothing to happen. So I
Yes.
know something's happening.
Yeah.
My name is being mentioned in rooms I have no idea, but I'm thankful for it. I'm truly, truly thankful.
Yeah.
I had an audition, a fit audition a couple weeks ago at Fruit of Balloon,
Mhm.
solely because the young lady that now works at Fruit of Balloon remembers me from Victoria's Secrets.
Wow.
And she was like, "Yeah, I was working at Victoria's Secrets just for as a contractor for like 90 days. But I worked with you were in the room fitting for a collection and I said, "Yeah, I definitely remember your face. I think I've saw it maybe 3 or 4 times." And she remembered me. She was like, "Yeah, I liked her. Great personality, and I liked the energy that she brought when I was working with her." And she thought of me when she got hired at Fruit of Balloon. So not sure if they're still thinking of me or not, but that is huge.
Yeah.
So my name is being brought up in beautiful in amazing rooms and conversations that I don't know of, but I'm excited for the future. I know that I'm going to be checking off those goals of mine. So, yeah, you'll definitely will be seeing Sheena Pastel for sure.
Okay, I'm
Hmm.
excited. I'm
Yeah.
excited, and I'll continue to stalk your Instagram page as I've been doing.
Thank you.
Very excited when it comes up in my feed. I'm like, hey, look at her doing her thing. I see you. And
Absolutely.
congratulations on your awards. Good
Thank
luck
you.
with your nominations.
Thank you
All the
so
great
much.
things. Um, is there anything else that you would like to share about being a model, plus size model, content creator? Any last notes that my listeners should leave in their notepad?
I would say this. Um, Definitely continue to go after the things that you want, right? And while you're on that path to getting what you want, be sure to love on yourself more. Be
Mm,
sure to open your mind and look around you to your left and to your right and see who are there that you can collaborate with, walk with shoulder to shoulder, and to learn from as you are moving closer and closer to your goal. As well as be proud of where you are. You may feel that you're going a little bit too slower than other people. You're going the exact speed that you're supposed to go. And enjoy that. Because when it happens, it's going to be fast. I
hey.
need for you to be ready. I need for you to show up and be prepared to fully follow through with that task. Because a lot of people are on this journey for a long time. They get tired
Yeah,
and they do things half-assed. So
yeah,
when they are at that place in that spotlight, they don't fully deliver.
yeah,
And I know you don't want to be that person that has the opportunity that does not fully deliver.
yeah. I love it.
So,
Well, thank you so much for being with us today. I've enjoyed this conversation.
thank you.
And I will be back next week with another episode. Bye, guys.